We should start this Sunrise Extra with a Three Stooges line. Spread out! Spread out!
Doubt.
Exactly.
When the Dow hit halts last week, it was the first time since 1997.
When the Dow hit the halts, the circuit breakers that it hit last week, it was the first time we'd seen that since 1997.
Since the rules went into place about.
And now we're seeing it again, or we saw it again this morning.
Yeah, and we're seeing it again.
Right off the top of the trading at 6:30 this morning, we saw the Wall Street come to a halt. It pulled one of those circuit breakers, if you will, because it opened up so low, they had to freeze trading. We'll see if that happens again.
It was what, like around 9% down?
Right.
It's about 10
But we need to go
now.
to 13 to trigger a second circuit breaker. But yeah, this is uncharted territory.
And we had
This is uncharted territory.
Yeah, it
sitting
is.
so far apart. Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching Sunrise Extra.
Jay
What are
can't
you
even
guys
frame the
doing?
shot. You may have to step back a little bit, Jay.
Are you
may have to
getting ready to
I'm going to move that
from
table for you so
your,
you can
bedroom today?
frame this better.
I was actually okay.
Are you getting ready to work from your home office, your
barely on
kitchen
the screen.
counter? It's okay, Drew. He'll figure it out. He's a professional cameraman.
All right.
Where are you guys working at today? We saw some, I want to throw up some great pictures that people were sending in to us. Producer Celeste has some of those of like, we saw people, you know, using their like bar counter in their kitchen. So this is a laundry hamper with a laptop and a chair in a hallway.
Gotta do what
of a
you gotta do.
studio apartment. I love that. Oh yeah, just prop up your laptop on the kitchen counter next to the stove on some water bottle pallets. I love that. And yes, the liquor cabinet doubling as a desk for folks. So we were asking lots of you who are getting creative with trying to work from home, are you even able to work from home? And I thought it was interesting, like 50% of people, there it is, say they just can't do their jobs at home, much like we can't do our jobs at home.
I know some of the people in other departments, though, have been told that if they can do their jobs at home, they don't have to.
Yeah, a lot of our sales.
A friend at one of the other stations in town said that they were sending home pretty much everybody except on-air people and engineers. So people are adjusting, but they're kind of figuring it out as they go, as everybody is.
So those 50% of people that you're hearing from that say they cannot work from home, they simply cannot do it, I imagine then that their employers aren't asking them to. I would hope.
Well, I mean, if you're a waiter, if you're a plumber, I mean,
Right.
you know.
Well, yeah, if you're a nurse, I know, I get it. There's a lot of jobs that you cannot
do.
do from home. And I mean, we knew that going into it. The question more is for all those people. I mean, half is still a lot. Half of our audience is in a situation where they can or are now being asked to work from home. So how is that going for you? We want to hear from you. I imagine a lot of you could be at home right now when normally you might be in the car driving to work. So spend the next 20 minutes with us as we discuss what is really sort of a new normal. I was thinking this weekend about how long this new normal will be the normal.
So this is a text we just, sorry to interrupt, Drew.
Okay.
Our producer just flagged me on this. I'm a trucker, along with many of my fellow drivers, have no choice but to be out and about. I like so many other drivers, I am a long haul driver. I have to go in and out of some of these really badly infected areas, and we have no defense against the virus. I mean, you think about the folks that are bringing all that toilet paper to the stores. I mean, trying to restock, scrambling, and driving these semis, you know, and unloading and loading. I mean, just grocery store employees alone. I saw a post on Facebook last night of, you know, please do not complain to grocery store employees. They are working as hard as they possibly can.
Absolutely.
And they are in contact with thousands of us,
Yes.
you know, going to work every day and working overtime. I know they did a bunch of callbacks, for example, at Fred Meyer. One of the checkers was telling me yesterday, and he said I'm very expensive, you know, when they're all on overtime and they're getting called back. Not mandatorily so, but he's going to take the money.
Well, I thought I was really ahead of the game like early Saturday morning because we wake up anyway early. So I woke up and it was about 4 a.m. and I thought I'll just stop by Winco. I'll drive down there and I'll get some groceries.
What time?
It was probably close to 5 by the time I left the house.
Really?
And there was a line outside the door at Winco and I looked in, I thought they're not letting anybody in. So instead of getting out, I called and the woman who answered, the worker inside, I said, can you tell me why you're not open? And she said, we don't have anything on the shelves. And I said, you're waiting till 8 a.m. so you can restock? And she said, yes. So I went to QFC and they were open, but they have abbreviated hours. They said for the sake of their, associates, they don't want to expose them on that 24-hour wheel. And it was jam-packed with people stocking shelves. All the produce was gone. So it was quite the thing to see. We are getting a lot of your comments on our stream this morning. Let's see.
A lot of comments this morning.
A lot of comments. Anna Burgum says, my hubby is still going to work. He's a phone, cable, and internet technician.
Okay.
So he has things that he's got to do. Terry Hogenkamp says, I've been working from home for 7 years. Business as usual. What else are you seeing?
Is it Salima? S-U-L-E-M-A, Salima. She says she does childcare. Good morning, Salima. She says she started to disinfect all toys and everywhere where the kids may be playing. This is another question, though, right? Do we want to bring this up now? This idea of, you know, now some people are having to send their kids to childcare or daycare to help with this fact that there aren't kids in school. And I'm thinking, how's that any better for the daycare facilities than it was for the schools, right?
Well,
because
a woman on my Facebook page asked that question because she works in daycare, and she said the state is, you know, saying that they may relax the rules so daycares can bring in more kids because of increased demand. But she asked me, and I don't have the answer, she said, how is that any better if we have more kids in an enclosed space? And I said, well, I'll ask that question when I get into work.
And again, we're not concerned. It seems like the younger you are, the more you're able to combat this coronavirus. But that doesn't mean a child can't be a carrier of the coronavirus.
I heard a doctor say that on the news, the national news this week. They said, you know, exactly that a little one may not be symptomatic, but could actually pass that to other people. So, you know, the daycare worker is asking, is that a good idea? But you've got a bunch of parents that need to go to work as well.
Right. I saw one viewer who's an Amazon employee, and I was curious to get more information on this comment because it didn't make sense to me as it was stated by Lisa Rich. Lisa Rich says, I work for Amazon. They are doing literally nothing. I wanted to ask Lisa Rich, does she mean they're not doing anything for their employees, or they're not doing the level of work, the amount of work they normally do? I would think that Amazon would be as busy as ever with people ordering stuff online and looking for that home delivery versus going out into public to shop.
I thought we had one, am I not remembering? I thought we did have a story on last week that Amazon, at least for part of their operations, was allowing people to work from home or something. I mean, obviously they have a huge operation.
Not the warehouse.
Lots of different
Right.
avenues.
Yeah, Lisa Rich is watching right now, an Amazon employee. Let us know what you do for Amazon, Lisa. Let us know what you mean when you say they are doing literally nothing, because I'm curious about that comment for sure.
And Rhonda Rue Nunn says, I work at Winco. We are working like crazy. And thank you so much for doing that. Cassandra Wood said, still working normal hours. All they have done is institute a mandatory daily cleaning of personal and shared workspaces. Can you say where you work? I'd be curious to know if you can. If not, that's okay.
There is, I figured there might be, and I would say that there's definitely a larger volume of people watching the stream today than we normally have at this time if you're watching us live on this Monday morning. And I figured there's a lot of people who would normally be in their cars heading to work right now who are not doing that. Hopefully you are in a position, if that's the case, to work from home and you can continue to collect that paycheck that I know we all need. We're seeing a lot of comments right now on the stream. I'm trying to keep up with them.
Let's pull some up. Our producer has picked a few for us to look at. Maria says it's not possible for her to work from home. She's a certified nursing assistant. Hope it doesn't get in nursing homes where I work and then bring it home to the grandbabies.
Oh, boy.
Kidding. Jessica, it's not possible. I work in a call center. Carol, not possible. It could be possible, but I was told no. Instead, I'm being forced to be home, either to make up the 5 days I'm out or go without pay. So many people in that boat. I saw somebody's son works in, hospitality as a waiter, got laid off this week. One of the most heartbreaking posts I saw last night was from Pip's Donuts on Northeast Fremont. They serve, they're all over Instagram, those little mini, cooked to order donuts. And he said, they were preeminently shutting down before Governor Brown makes her announcement today to in-person dining. And they are still doing, takeout orders or whatever. But he said, to be totally honest, he thinks that they're going to have to shut down the business totally forever.
Won't be able to make it through the financial downturn. Yeah.
He said they do a lot of catering for weddings and events. All that has canceled. They have to refund the money. And that guy, Nate, does so much cool stuff in the community. And he has a hashtag that he always uses called community, not competition. And he gives away, you know, if it's your birthday, if you come in on your birthday or within 7 days, he'll give you a free set of 12 donuts for free. And he said, if we've ever given you birthday donuts, please consider helping us out, you know, like buy a gift card like you were saying, or, but I mean, boy, now if you buy gift cards to places, like that spot may not be there.
And
it's
I just
heartbreaking.
wonder, it's a national emergency. It's a national emergency. And things, according to Anthony Fauci, who's working with the Trump administration, and he is a leading infectious disease expert, he says it's going to get worse. So in a national emergency, I want to see what is going to come out for small businesses, what Congress, what the government, what, you know, they gave, what, $1.5 trillion in loans, but what's available in loans or other assistance, not just to the banks, but to the people like you're talking about. Like, what do the economists say need to happen? A lot of them say until you get the virus under control, you're not going to get this and the economy under control. That the bleeding is going to continue. A lot of the experts also say that if you're going to put in social distancing and those kind of measures where you're clamping down on businesses, it's better to do it early than to do it later. So just, you know, so much new information is coming in, and when you listen to these experts, it's like, well, what do you do? Everybody's kind of, they're giving you their best professional estimation, I guess.
Remember last week, one of our viewer polls was, are you more worried, I think it was last week, are you more worried at this point about the virus or about the economy? And I mean, just to add to what you were saying, people who were servers that are now being laid off, are they going to be able to make their rent payment on their apartment next month? And if you don't, are landlords going to be in a position to go, well, that's okay, or are they going to be out on the street? I mean, this is going to be a heck of a story to follow in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Bianca on YouTube, thanks for watching. She says, I work at the airport, and the only thing that's happened here is workers are getting laid off for lack of business with restaurants and everything. Other companies in the airport have shortened hours by just a couple of hours. And other people saying, B. Angelique, she can't work from home. I work in after-school programming. I'll be trying to do freelance graphic designing from home to supplement my income. Other people are saying, Celica, if you work in a call center like I do, your attendance is very important. I was let go last week because my kids were sick.
Wow. Debbie Pens says, I drive buses for seniors and people with disabilities, so I am not working from home.
The story keeps developing and it changes so quickly. So I actually I got a text on Friday evening around 5 o'clock from Lisa Schroeder, the owner of Mother's Bistro. And, you know, she's a friend of the show. Yeah. And I still have the text here. She just was basically saying, pitching me an idea for a segment, which we essentially covered this weekend as it was. She said an interesting segment might be what restaurants are going through at this time and what they're doing to get through it. A group of independent restaurants, including mine, had an impromptu meeting trying to map out our future. She sent this at Friday at 5, and I just texted back and said, hey, you know, when I get back in Monday, we'll talk about this and we'll figure out a best way to cover it. We covered the restaurant angle this weekend, but it's crazy to me to think that she sends this at 5 on Friday. By 9 o'clock this morning, it's like, hey, Lisa, there's not a story here because the governor could potentially be shutting down all restaurants anyway. There is no story to cover. That's the end of the story for now anyways. I thought it'd be great to talk to Lisa and these other restaurant owners about what they're going to do, but that script will be written for them potentially by the governor later this morning.
I know a lot of nonprofits. I've had 2 cancel events that were coming up in April. And Kelly Russell, who I think we've all probably worked with, an auctioneer here, she sent me a message on social media saying that they are starting some webinars about how to conduct a gala online. Right. And so that's also something that these nonprofits are trying to figure out.
Yeah, because their auctions are, I mean, that's their big fundraiser for a whole year. It's gone.
Precisely.
Yeah, I had one on Saturday, canceled.
It already happened this weekend, though. Your event just did not happen?
Correct, was canceled, yeah.
I know Oregon Episcopal School, OES, and Catlin Gable both had auctions, I guess, this weekend, and both of those quickly, like they decided on Wednesday of last week, we're going to do these online. And I didn't watch the feed, but they essentially had their auctioneer there. They had an MC there. Oh, really? They had the items that were up for bid, you know, in a studio, so to speak. It may have been an office at one of the schools, but they conducted the auction 100% online, as you would normally do an auction live to an audience, minus the audience. And apparently there's an event that I'm going to be emceeing, or I was scheduled to MC next month for Tucker Maxson, the school for the hearing impaired. And he just reached out on Friday, the executive director did, and said, hey, I want you to watch this because we're probably going to do our auction the same way in 2 weeks. That is to do it online and to do it live and hope they get the support from the people that they were going to get support from.
I mean, if they lose that, I know in many cases, these school auctions, it's not like that's extra money. That's money they absolutely depend on getting.
That's their operating budget, right?
Yeah.
So in addition to us watching your comments coming in live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, as always, we tell you, you can text us your comments. These are a few of the texts coming in, 503-226-5111, if that's easier for you. My employer has told us to not pay attention to this, has done nothing to stop the spread, and I am thinking about quitting.
Whoa.
Very interesting. I would wonder what industry you're in.
We would support that decision.
Without saying your workplace. There is no option to work from home for this person. I work for the Oregon Judicial Department. I took today off to continue building my immune system with supplements and healthy foods since I take public transportation, but I will be back at work tomorrow. That's Gia from Portland. Thanks, Gia.
Jeff Lucas says my bank is only allowing ATM transactions.
Wow.
Interesting.
What bank is that, I wonder? I hadn't heard that yet from any of the banks. Derek Sumter watching it this morning. Good morning, Derek Sumter. I don't believe I've ever read a comment of yours on the stream. So he says he works at one of the casinos here in Oregon. He was just on his casino's website, the one he works at, doesn't say which one, but he says from what he's read, these casinos are doing anything and everything they can to stay open, even with very little guests and visitors right now. And that is something we've heard over the weekend, that the local casinos are staying open, to this point anyways.
Yeah, you know, the bad thing to me is I'm going to assume that this is going to turn out to be a case where it's the people that are most vulnerable and most likely to be living paycheck to paycheck are the ones that are going to be most apt to really be hurt by this financial crisis that's being added on top of this too. It's really concerning.
It usually is.
Yeah,
it's
very
devastating. Let's see, Linda Wilkinson says can't work from home, proprietary software. Trying to get clients to drop off paperwork instead of sitting with us, wiping down desks and things after every client, sent someone home when sick over a week ago. I also saw kind of an interesting thing over the weekend about the cyber risk of people working from home. Because bad actors and other people
have all the safeguards of like a firewall and stuff around your work.
What is it called?
Crazy.
Measure authentication, and you're on networks that aren't locked down, and that is something that people absolutely need to think about.
Yeah. Don't give me anything else to worry about, Brenda. Holy cow.
It's out there.
Yeah.
And that's something that
people
should be aware of.
Like some of the worst people in the world show up at the worst of times, right?
Yes, they do, 100%.
This is great, by the way, and what I mean by that is the fact that we're getting so much response from so many viewers this morning, and I had a feeling it would be like this on this Monday, and maybe it will continue to be, and there's a part of me that thinks this should be the Sunrise Show from start to finish, because we're going through the headlines every morning from 4:30 to 7. Yeah. These are the same headlines for the most part you can see on our website that you could probably find on a lot of outlets, but this, I think, is healthy for a lot of people who feel like they are home and stuck
like
there.
A me too, hey, we're all in this
We're in this together. And we'll continue to, we can't get through all of your comments this morning and address each and every one, but at least by reading these, you see that you're not alone.
Yeah.
We're
you know
all
what's
in the
been
same
really
boat.
cool? Like, I've seen a lot of my friends, like you were saying, there's no sports on TV, so they're getting kind of creative with showing old archive games or like video game matches of what would have been the game. But there's not, if you're watching streaming and stuff, but like you can't watch TV this whole time. So I have seen some really, really cool, Dr. Doreen, love her. She's a psychologist here in Portland. She has a practice in Lake Oswego, and she specializes in like tech addiction. And she's done many stories with us. She is awesome. I'm going to be interviewing her later today. But in the vein of I hear Dr. Doreen's voice and I see all these photos of people putting puzzles together at the kitchen table and baking pies when they've never made a pie, you know, at home at all.
Love
We
that.
drove past a park yesterday. It was beautiful sunshine. There was, I mean, like kids running around, kicking balls, you know, like walking the dog in the sunshine, like doing, you know, yard work projects that you've meant to do. And like dads helping glue little beads on some cardboard box with their kids, you know, to do some arts and crafts. So I've seen some really cool like families, you know, getting away from the screens, because you have to take a mental break from this. And doing some fun, like wholesome, old school family time together.
We played
Did you guys do
That's-
anything like, we did a puzzle this weekend. We went to the coast and we, you know, we're in our little room. We did puzzles, we watched movies, we had the fire in the fireplace. We went out and saw the sea lions, we walked on the beach. And it was a fascinating juxtaposition of city and what it feels like here, which is very doomsday to me. And then you went to the coast and it was like,
That's always like that.
I mean, obviously, you know, but I mean, like,
No,
people,
yeah.
there wasn't an empty parking
Right.
spot down on the bayfront in Newport. People were, I asked shopkeepers. We went to the Made in Oregon store, went to the candy store. We, you know, sanitized everything, didn't touch stuff. But we bought candy and we bought, you know, a toy and we went out to dinner. And I mean, I'm interacting with more people here at work than I did at the coast. But you just didn't get that sense.
You're exactly right. We saw that in Vancouver. We were out walking with our dog, our family, yesterday at Salmon Creek Park, which is a very popular green space where people bike and walk. And I go there every week, have since I moved here in 1999. I have never, on the most perfect warm spring day, seen as many people at that park walking. And it was units of family. And you could hear people as you walked by say, oh, yeah, we had to get out of the house, had to do something. But it was mom and dad and the kids and everybody. And it was great to see, very much what you were saying. Let's go spend some time with our family, how we can.
Yep.
Yeah.
We played Family Feud on Saturday night before we watched the movie.
Nice.
Family Feud.
My one son, Chase, he played the role of Steve Harvey. And I was teammates with my other son,
boy.
Caleb. And then Mia was, her teammate was the dog, Blaze.
That's awesome. I love it.
Blaze provided her with absolutely no help. It was a stirring finish, but the team of Dad and Caleb came out on top.
I like that.
We beat
I
the
like
wife and the
that.
dog.
All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, Lord.
This was, appreciated this comment from Carlene Ames. Good morning, Carlene.
Hi, Carlene.
She says, I'm happy to see your news crew applying the social distancing.
We're trying.
And you know what? We're trying to figure this out as we go, because this morning, sort of like at the last minute, right before the newscast hit at 4:30, I forget who brought it. Maybe it was you first, Brenda, saying, hey, what are we doing to practice social distancing in our news set? Because typically, you, me, Nina, we're side by side with very little gap between
And on
us.
TV, it looks like normal standing, but in real life, it's like
Right next
floor
to you.
host.
Right.
Because the
Look,
camera does a stretch
Brenda
thing.
literally has her arm around my shoulder. You can't see that at home, but it's like right there. But so today, the first move was, we're going to separate Rod from the desk. No more Rod at the
Rod,
news.
get
This has been coming for a long time.
Rod will be in his own quarters to do the weather. And that worked out fine. I mean, that was smooth sailing. But now I'm sure by tomorrow, we'll have something else figured out so that the three of us aren't on top of each
I'll
other.
be out in the parking lot. That's tomorrow's plan.
It is a weird thing, and it is a slow roll.
Right.
Because I remember last week we were all sitting around our debrief, you know, after the show, and I looked around and I'm like, we're not even following the guidelines that we're telling everybody else to, because I think so many times we think in the news, and I include myself in that we're covering disasters, but somehow we just keep motoring through. And this is different.
Right.
It really is different. It's not an out there thing. It could be an anywhere thing. You know, it's just kind of having that mental portion catch up with what we're seeing on the ground everywhere.
It's just tough nothing compares to what we're going through now. Like nothing in our past compares to this, not in our lifetimes anyway.
Right. Correct.
And I was even thinking, we watched American Sniper on Saturday night after a wholesome game of Family Feud.
It was a great weekend you
We
guys
pulled
had.
the boys in and let them watch American Sniper, which is a fantastic movie, but it may not be appropriate for everyone's kids. My point being, it reminded me just about 9/11 and 9/11, which I always say, that's the worst day in our country's history, in my lifetime anyway.
Yeah.
But even then, when it looked so awful, we knew that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. We were going to get through this. We would press on. Things that were canceled or postponed were going to come back. And within a week or two, we were kind of getting back to some normalcy. Now, we've never recovered from a travel standpoint, right? Things are different today travel-wise because of those events 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But this is different where you do not see an end right now. We don't know how it ends. We don't know where the end is. Do we ever return to our quote-unquote normal? I like to think we do. I keep thinking it's going to happen by the summertime, but I don't know.
Things are changing so fast. I'm not willing to go there yet. But yeah, it's not going to be super quick.
Right.
But there's encouraging
Hang
news.
in there.
We'll
didn't
chat
China
with
say-
you guys all week. See ya. See you on Tuesday. Bye.